All right, I'm gonna go Rocky now. All right, so try to get your. It's not Rocky. So when you tilt your head. So when you tilt
your head back.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Back.
Back.
Hey, Peter.
Hey, Peter. Okay.
Hey, Peter.
Lord Peter. Peter. This is stupid.
Jaggers! Jaggers!
Oh my god!
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I almost just whistled.
Don't do it.
Wait, what about the whistling?
We're gonna get in trouble.
We got yelled at.
Yeah.
By who? Jakey Poo?
Yeah. Yeah. Stinky Pink. No, we were just joking. No, we were talking about mosh pit stuff before, and when we went to go see Five Finger Death Punch, it was hilarious because Phil's brother Austin, who's like ginormous.
Yep.
It was like
I
we
think
were
he was
trying
in
to make
Marines
it to
at
the
that point
front.
too,
Yeah.
so he's just like this.
Oh, he was
buff
hulking,
Marine, dude. He's
in like
got
a
his
bro
Marine
tank
tat and a
and-
bro
yeah.
tank, and
And
we're
a
like
Five
making
Finger
our
concert.
way towards the front, and there's like all these dudes who keep like, because we were like pretty close to the pit,
Mm-hmm.
but we weren't going in the pit. But like people kept like pushing back into us because of it. And so like we eventually got fed up with it. My brother's like, all right, I'm joining in on this. And he like just like somehow bunches three dudes together and just pushes the whole mass of people forward. And then everybody just starts pushing, and he's like throwing
yeah.
dudes across the thing.
It was
pretty funny.
It was magnificent.
I was like,
to
I'm glad we
watch.
have a protector here.
I wish I'd seen that.
It was pretty awesome.
I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that. Well, because it didn't help that it was Miss May I right before Five Finger.
Yep.
And the dude from Miss May I was like, I want everybody in the pit now. You're like, and if you're not jumping, and it was like, oh, someone's gonna die.
Yeah.
So
I know, that's what's sad. Is
Yeah.
it's like they just want their fans to. I want every one of you to just freaking murder each other. Like,
Basically, yeah.
grab your knives, grab your guns, just go crazy.
did you ever watch? Do you remember Death Clock?
I do remember.
show-
No, was it? I don't think it was.
Death
No,
Clock.
the band was Death. Metalocalypse.
Metalocalypse. Yeah, yeah,
Metalocalypse.
yeah.
Adult Swim.
Yeah.
Titchy. Ooh. Oh. It was a great show.
Hey, Murderface. Maybe you should, throw up and eat it, because you look like a dog.
Eat dog food and then throw up and eat
throw
it.
it up and eat it again, because your face looks like a dog face.
Now it's a little below the belt.
I guess I should just throw up and eat it.
My favorite line from that entire show was when the guy's like talking about the history of the blues, and he's like, and here's where Billy Joe Thornton killed 52 men just for being ugly.
Probably the best line is I didn't enjoy all of the show, but the first episode where they have to, like, their chef dies because they accidentally throw him out of their helicopter or something, and they go to the supermarket and they're trying to figure out how to buy food, and then they go home after the whole episode and they're staring at the pot and they're like, the lead singer Nathan, he's like looking at the pot,
Okay, put all the food stuff in the pot.
and then the one like long-haired Norwegian guy's like, oh no, we left all the food at the food place, and he's like, what? So I love it. That show was
That show's a little too zany, but
Yeah,
there were some
it's-
shining, just like any Adult Swim show, there were some shining moments of humor, but
We
it was
will keep
clouded
our
by
eye on Death Clock.
Adult Swim humor, we'll say.
Do you like coffee?
Do you remember that? It's I'm gonna pull it up. It's hilarious.
I still think probably my favorite Adult Swim is Aquaforce. Or
Yeah,
Aqua Teens.
Aquateens.
Because
Wow.
we're the Aquateens.
I just liked Meatwad.
Yeah.
He would just pull random crap out of his body.
I wish I could do his voice.
I used to be able to do
Hey,
it pretty
yeah.
good. I can't think of a line to say.
Yeah, like I can't even.
Oh,
See,
here it is.
See,
here
you
it
can
is.
do Meatwad, but I can't do.
was great.
You can't do Patrick Warburton. I
do
can't.
All
Patrick
right,
I can't
this
do
is
Meatwad.
this is Death Clock, Duncan Hill's coffee jingle.
Hey, Meatwad.
That was the
Oh,
worst.
that's not it. Just kidding.
What is that?
That's Red Bull. Red Bull gives you wings. That's the commercial.
not.
Black.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
That double pedal though.
I can't even.
I can't understand a word.
I know, it's like
I knew it was something about coffee though.
I did-
Give me another cup or something like that.
That first
Give me
line
another cup.
was. That first line was. Cool.
Do you folks like coffee?
I would listen to a metal band. Scream about
they're like a
coffee.
legit band too.
Yeah, they are,
which
yeah.
is
Although
fantastic.
Adult Swim owns the rights to their music and stuff, so
I
they
don't-
can't
yeah.
actually do anything outside of the show.
I don't.
Which
Well, and the
sucks.
show ended too a while
Yeah.
ago.
And the Adult Swim won't give them the rights to that stuff,
Which is-
because they
that's
might
bogus.
redo it someday. So
Of course.
I read that on Reddit one day.
Yeah.
Could be false.
On
Who
Reddit.
knows?
Whatever.
Yeah, Reddit on Reddit.
The news website of
The
the
news
people.
website of the century, of the people, the Vox Populi.
You know,
You know what it is.
little death clock detour.
Little Death Clock detour
It was very apropos for
for the apropos.
keep a posi in the pit, folks.
Is that? Oh boy. I don't know if I.
Moshing about coffee. Keep it posi.
Keep
in
it
the
posy.
All right. So
Posi
is that our new
vibes.
phrase now? Are we gonna like? Well, first we should introduce.
Welcome back to another episode of the Pop Culture Punks podcast.
Introduction. I meant introduction.
Bringing pop culture to the pit.
To the pit.
This week is our 20th episode, which is a pretty big milestone.
Yup.
It's what?
Pretty big milestone. I don't think we've ever made it to 20 episodes, so
No.
we've.
This is our last episode. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for.
All right,
thanks
so
for
we're gonna
joining
restart
us on
all
this
over
journey.
again. Yeah. Ugh.
What?
Don't make me do it.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've been recording for a little bit.
Okay. I didn't know. Well, like you had your hand on it, but I thought you were gonna be like, "Oh shoot, sorry
You,
guys."
you meant restart as in we're starting over again, the new podcast, right? Yeah.
I accidentally
Yeah.
stopped recording again.
Stop recording a long time ago.
Bear. Anyway.
But yeah, it's our 20th episode. It's a pretty big milestone for the Pop Culture Punks. Feeling pretty good about it.
Let's look
You
back
sound
on
like
all
it.
the. Yeah. We
Yeah.
should look back on
Yeah,
all
I'm
the
feeling
great
pretty
moments. of-
posy. All the great. I wish we
all the
had
great
a
moments of-
Like a
a
clip
20th
show.
episode clip show. Yeah, we should have.
Hi, I'm
scanned through.
Troy McClure.
We'll do
if we-
that for our 100th episode.
Yeah.
We
We'll
should
do,
definitely.
We do if we get popular enough. I want to hire the guy who did Troy
I think
McClure's
he's
voice.
dead.
Did he? No, he did die. That's right. Oh, shoot.
Who's this?
Shoot.
Shoot.
Oh, shoot.
Shucks.
Ah, shut.
Simpsons. The Simpsons had a character who literally his whole thing was basically playing the guy who would be in videos where, "Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from such videos as Cigarettes, The Deadly Killer, and." But
Well,
it'd
I'll
like,
be a monkey's uncle.
yeah,
Something like that.
and like Cigarettes, The Deadly Killer, and I'll be a monkey's uncle. Like evolution or something like that. And then it's like the video he's like doing, he's like, "I'm here to teach you about procreation." And then all the kids are like, "Ew." So
Yeah.
there's like a clip show episode where he does the clip show entrance thing for The Simpsons. So it's like, "Hi, I'm Troy McClure."
Yeah.
So it's
Who
funny.
else would you want to have do like an introduction for our show? If you could have anyone
Anyone?
What do you mean an introduction for our show?
like that,
Like an
style,
intro like that?
People like that introduce the show. Like for the past something years, like the pop culture punks have been gaining popularity for like you know how they do that at the Oscar, any like award show.
You
or
know the
clip
guy
show.
who
Ricky
does Ricky Gervais. He just roasts us.
Yeah, you would.
Exactly.
I don't understand why I'm even here. These people just disgust me.
Keep it palsy in the pit. What is that?
What the bloody are they talking about?
What is that?
I would
What-
want.
positive vibes in the pit.
Your accent sounds like Austin Powers.
Yeah. Palsy pit. That's not really groovy, baby.
Keep
Keep it
palsy
palsy,
in your
baby.
pit, baby. Oh no, we can't say that.
Oh, I went.
baby. Oh no.
Yeah.
Say that.
I went there, baby. I'm
Oh,
Randy. I'm Randy in the pit, baby. Yeah.
Vanessa.
Vanessa, I'm in the pit, baby.
Oh my gosh.
See, that's the problem is like with this new phrase, keep it posi the pit, I'm just going to take it into a whole other level.
That's the intent.
Oh, boy.
If I could have anyone, I'd love to have Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum would be a fun person.
He would be good.
I take it.
He'd be
The
like,
guy who does the Ford truck commercials.
It's a Ford truck.
it's a Ford
That
truck.
guy.
Or
Pop culture punks.
Who is that voice?
I don't know. I thought it was Mike Rowe.
I think it is. It's Mike Rowe.
I think it's Mike
isn't it?
Rowe. But he like, man, he
take Mike
conjures
Rowe.
some manly Bear Grylls style vocals for that thing.
Ford truck.
Bear
month.
Grylls have a manly voice?
I don't know. Does he?
I don't think he
His
does.
name's Bear
No.
Grylls.
No. Grills. No, I would love Morgan. We'd have to have Morgan Freeman.
Ooh.
And you'd have to start with Since the Dawn of Time.
Isn't there a B.O.B. song with that or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a
one of my
great
favorites.
jam.
Bombs Away. That's a great
Yeah.
song.
It's a great song.
He
As
goes
the
in
war
on that
between
first
light
verse.
and darkness continues, heroes and villains become harder to identify. Kindred spirits separated at birth, fighting for their place and time to be solidified. What?
Oh my god.
Do you like my
it's-
my
that was-
half-ass Morgan?
Do you remember
That is
that?
great, yeah.
Do you remember the Vine where it was like, that moment you find out that Morgan Freeman
Is really
really
a white boy.
is really a white boy.
I remember. That's a good one.
Oh god.
I would,
I'm sweaty.
the boys
I
today
am
talk
too, it's
about
hot in
Donkey
here.
Kong Country for the Nintendo 64. One of the greatest milestones in humanity.
Can we just do all of our intros with you impersonating
Morgan Freeman.
Maybe someday we'll get the real one.
Since the dawn of time, mankind has been keeping it posy in the pit.
We now see the boys come to the pit to test these posi vibes that humanity has held on to for so long.
Oh. Gosh.
Oh,
I'm getting sweaty from laughing.
I'm all sweaty.
Yeah, baby.
Why are you so
Yeah, baby.
Randy from the pit, baby? Yeah.
Well, we got to go back to the drawing board on the slogan there.
Yeah. I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna take any
Randy in the pit, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Peter, I'm in the pit. Hey, Joe, what are you doing in the pit? Keep it posi, Peter.
Peter, you can't be doing that in the pit.
Peter, my Peter.
Holy frick.
Terrible Lois.
Do you remember the old Chris?
Peter.
Before it was Seth Green. He like now he sounds like this, but he used to be like, "Way to go, Dad! Fight the machine!
Fight the pit, Dad.
Fight the pit, Dad!"
Lois, I'm in the pit now. It sounds like Mr. Go, Gadget, I'm posi in the pit.
By you doing this, we've solidified it now. Go, Gadget. Posse in the pit.
Go, Gadget, posi in the pit.
Oh, God.
Penny, I'm going to.
Well, okay.
Penny, I am now flying.
My glasses are fogging up.
Penny, I'm going to mush. Go, Gadget,
Go.
posi in the pit.
Go, Gadget, listening to Pop Culture Punk's podcast.
Oh, wow. Wowzers.
I'm literally crying.
Yeah. My
show-
glasses are fogging up.
Our show's stupid. Welcome to the Pop Culture
Welcome to the
Punk's
Pop
podcast.
Culture
So to
Punks.
come back.
Episode number 20. So what have you guys been up to this week?
Holy crap.
Any fun updates?
Hard right turn.
Fun pop culture, punks pit
We got it.
knowledge?
Breathe.
I figured it'd be easier if we just cold turkeyed it.
Yeah.
Took a sharp left turn.
Yeah, way to go, Mr.
My
Sweaty.
glasses were starting to fog up.
Couldn't see.
My pits are sweating over here.
Way to go, Sweaty. You're
My
Mr.
pits are sweating over here.
You're Mr. Krabs now.
Mr.
Isn't that the red sweaty guy you work for?
Oh, gosh. I'm taking these.
I have been. Well, I haven't been. I read. I picked up the 2014. I think it's the first volume. The 2014 comic run of Moon Knight.
Which is
So if you don't know who Moon Knight is, he is a
he runs around at night mooning people.
The superhero of our time.
Actually, yes.
Since the dawn of time.
Oh no, we're back.
The knights have been mooning men for a century. Now one man stands alone to moon our society, and that is Moon Knight.
He's the last remnant of the Knights Templar. I am Moon Knight,
I am Moon Knight.
the last knight of the Mooners.
No, Morgan Freeman isn't Moon Knight. He's narrating like Moon Knight's story.
Secretly, Morgan Freeman is Moon Knight.
I am Moon Knight.
I am Moon Knight.
Prepare to be mooned by Morgan Freeman.
So what is Moon Knight about? My glasses are fogging.
Do you like what you see?
We're never getting off. We're never getting off.
Sorry. I should just leave. I'm gonna. I'm taking our podcast apart.
I just keep picturing everything you say. It's just so funny. Oh gosh.
Everybody breathe.
I was gonna make another joke, but I probably shouldn't.
Save it for like 10 minutes when we need another. When we need another upstart. Just
Yeah, we're just
jumpstart.
we need
So yeah, that was our week.
since the dawn of time, man.
My glasses won't stop fogging.
Anyway, so Moon Knight is Moon Knight is this I need water.
Continue. Who is this Moon Knight? I have never heard of this moon. Oh.
What happened?
I know. How did we get to? Oof. Okay, tell us about Moon Knight.
This podcast, unpaid sponsorship done by Monster Energy. Oh my lord. So Moon Knight is a Marvel hero. He's even lesser known than I would say, like some of the
Most Marvel
characters.
heroes.
Yeah, that some of the characters that have made it into the
not known
Avengers.
at all.
So he's pretty not known at all, but he's very interesting. He's like a mix of Legion from X-Men,
There's a TV show about
Batman. Yeah, there's like I really want to watch that. I caught a glimpse
it.
of
I watched
an
the first
episode
like
online.
5 episodes.
Oh,
Pretty
is
good.
Legion like? I thought that was like. the
He's like
group-
an X-Men.
He's an X-Men hero.
Yeah.
I thought that was like.
He's like
a group
Professor
name.
X's son.
Yeah, he's got like some. It's like he's got like some disorder. Like he's basically schizophrenic, but his like personalities or his voices that he hears are like actual things, and it's like his superpower is like his mental illness. And
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what Moon Knight is. Like Moon Knight, his origin story is he was like a archaeologist expedition dude, and he goes to this Egyptian temple, and for like somehow some guy that he went with double crosses him and kills him on the temple right in front of the god. Oh, is it like Kanusha or something? Can't remember. It's some Egyptian god that's like, oh, don't start.
I just imagine him saying that.
What?
Kanusha.
Kanusha.
Ganesha, the god of the Egyptian. I can't. I'm like trying to. As I was listening to Josh explain, I was like, just don't do a Morgan Freeman voice. Don't do Morgan
Just
Freeman
don't
voice.
Look at the window. So fogged up.
Oh yeah, but yeah. All right, it's
Oh, that's
super for those that can't see right now. It is middle of April, yet it's snowing fiercely
Yep.
outside. This
Con-
is
Khonshu.
The cold outside is hitting the heat inside that we're generating.
So Khonshu,
Khonshu?
he's like a bird-like character god, and
the Birdman. Harvey
like-
Birdman.
what does it say? So he is the Egyptian god of vengeance and the moon. So hence why he's called Moon Knight. So he resurrects Moon Knight and then says like, now you're gonna go fight bad guys and you're gonna do it at night. Because
that's when you fight
I'm the moon
bad
god.
guys.
Oh,
that makes sense.
okay.
It's so clear.
Now
so
we're
then,
getting somewhere.
Wait, is
But,
it spelled Moon Knight or Moon Knight?
Moon. Don't. Kanusha.
Kanusha. Moon Kanusha.
Khonshu. So he is like. So he's like a mix of Legion in the way that he also has like voices, but I think his 4 voices are Wolverine, Captain America, Spider-Man, and
Wait, he hears these voices?
Wait, he just
yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he like
Is it like their spirits or is it?
I don't know. That's the one thing is it's only the first volume. Like I didn't know a lot about him, but I was always intrigued by his design because I played as him in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, if you guys remember those.
Oh yeah.
And it's pretty sweet. It's like a brawler, but with all the Marvel heroes, like Deadpool, Deadpool's in it, Spider-Man, huge cast. It's pretty freaking sweet. But they had him in it, and I remember playing him as one time. I was like, I've never heard of Moon Knight. I've heard of almost all the other ones, even some of the secondary characters of I knew like Elektra from Daredevil before the Netflix show and stuff like that. But I don't know the details. I think it's something where like they talk to him, or he has something in his brain where he like creates them.
Like
in
they're
his
not
mind.
really them.
Yes,
in
it's
his
not
mind,
like,
they're
but
them.
it's like them. So or he's like trying to sort through things using their personalities, or it's like it's very strange. So that part is kind of like Legion. So he's like a superhero in that sense, but he also is like Batman in a way because he's like a super rich millionaire guy, like fights at night, kind of his thing. But what I dig, this is the part that I really like about him, is in one of the issues that they have in that volume. He like his quote is literally like he's like fighting in like a white suit with his mask on, and he's like beating up some guy, and he's like, tell me where they're keeping this girl hostage or whatever. He's like, what? They're gonna see you coming in that stupid white suit, you idiot. And he's like, I want them to. So his whole MO is like, I want people to see me coming as I beat the snot out of them. So I was like, yes, that's metal.
That's so metal.
That's metal. So it's been interesting. It's good. It's kind of cryptic right now just because I don't know enough of his backstory, and I don't have enough. I just ordered the second volume last week, so I'll probably pick that up and see what happens. But yeah. So if you want to check out a new character,
if I can give a shout out to an unsung superhero, because I just thought
the Tick. The Tick.
Not the Tick. I do remember the
Patrick
Tick, the
Warburton
cartoon.
used to play him.
Yeah. Did he really?
In the old
I'm
live
the
action
Tick.
one. Here to save the day.
Got a nice big blue costume on.
Anyway,
pretty
unsung,
lame superhero.
Unsung hero. Before.
Okay, unsung hero. I know we're gonna derail even more than before. Okay, so this name immediately you're gonna be like, that's bogus and that's stupid, but it's a very, very interesting comic. So this hero is called Gwenpool.
I've heard of her.
Oh yeah,
Gwenpool. Oh wait, you guys. Oh,
I know. Who
There's
Gwenpool
Spider
is.
Gwen too.
Yeah, Spider Gwen's pretty sweet. That's a very interesting.
But Spider Gwen is actually Gwen. Gwenpool is like
her own
not
thing.
Gwen.
It's not Gwen Stacy.
It's not Gwen Stacy.
As Deadpool.
Her name is like Gwenpool, like Gwen
Oh,
and
wow.
then Pool. But the joke of that is like people are like, oh, so you're like Gwen Stacy. Basically, she's like, no, I'm Gwenpool. Like that's
So
one of
it's,
the
like,
jokes.
playing
So
off of it.
her whole MO, and I need to watch this video, but it was some comic anthology YouTuber that was pretty big, was saying the argument that the video said as a highlight was like Gwenpool breaks more the fourth, like is better at breaking the fourth wall than Deadpool is.
Really?
And I think because the argument I could see making is that Deadpool does it in a comedic context almost always, whereas I think Gwenpool takes a very serious what effects happen when you break the fourth wall like that, basically. And so her whole I think I kind of got really quiet.
No, you're fine.
Am I fine?
I got
Okay.
you.
These headphones, dog. Anyways, so Gwenpool, she does not have superpowers, but her whole thing is that she is a huge, huge comic book nerd from like our universe, like real life, that gets transported into the Marvel universe or the MCU, and she knows everyone's identity, she knows everyone's powers, she knows their weaknesses and stuff like that, but she's like crap at fighting, and she just like basically just buys swords and guns and is just like, all right, here I come. Just like one of my favorite scenes is she's like, the panels show her like jumping in, she's like invading this one enemy ship or whatever, and then like she jumps down and is like slashing all these enemies. She's like, I wish how it happened, but she like kind of like falls, basically just like face plants into the windowsill, and then they start shooting at her right away, and she's just like accidentally kills like one of the main villains on the ship or whatever.
So does she have Deadpool's powers?
No,
or
she doesn't have any
just
powers.
Her name?
That's just her name.
Oh, okay.
And
because I've seen pictures of Gwenpool wearing like a pink Deadpool.
yeah, she looks like
kind of
Deadpool
costume.
basically, and I think that's
Okay.
like the thing, but she's not. But the interesting thing that happens is that like, this is minor spoilers, but this is just like the first volume. So like she basically for part of the thing, she needs like, she doesn't have a license or anything like that, and she needs one for like this job she needs to do, and basically Doctor Strange helps her and like shows her being born and stuff like that in her universe when she was born, and he was like, well, I'll need to take your identity from here, and it might affect your universe where you're from. And she was like, that's And she kind of is like thinking about it, but she's like, that's fine. I'm not going to go back anyways. Or like, I don't think there'll be any ramifications or whatever. So it's like really interesting diving in depth to that. Like what it's like this cool thing. I'm teleported into this other world, but she starts realizing more and more that stuff happens. Like, even though she feels like it's just this comic book world, I could do what I want. There's real ramifications to not only her universe, but the MCU itself. Like when she grows attached to people, like, you know, stuff happens and affects her in all these different ways. I could go on and on, but it's very, very interesting look at like I think like the comic genre itself. And I always like stuff like that.
For sure.
Because the MCU is so vast and stuff. It's refreshing to see people like, I think that's why I like Deadpool and Gwenpool as people, as heroes, because they're not they're involved with other heroes, but they're very much their own identity in that they just kind of screw around in the world they're in. But then like Deadpool, whereas like Deadpool's just kind of nihilistic and just does what he wants because he's insane. Gwenpool's very much like, she just thinks that she can do what she wants because she's in the comic book world, but there's ramifications that she starts to learn more and more. So
it's almost like she's like pulling the seriousness of what could be in like the comic world. Yes, I feel like that's like the whole thing is it's like, oh, everything's super serious and dark and brooding. And then her whole thing is like, well, I'm in a comic, so like screw around.
Yeah, even when it gets dark, it doesn't really matter. But then because she's starting to get attached to stuff, she actually starts feeling like, oh shoot, what is, you know, it's really interesting. So Gwenpool, if you're interested, so 2 heroes, unsung heroes to check out, Gwenpool and Moon Knight. So
yeah.
You looked at me.
How about you, Philip?
Yeah.
What?
Philip?
What you been up to? You've been reading your tell us about your monkey.
Yeah,
tell us about the monkey.
So I found out I forgot that public libraries were a thing. So
Thanks, Amazon.
I went on the Verona Library website and looked up, and they had this comic called Y: The Last Man, just like the letter Y. And then, so I got the first 3 volumes on Friday, tore through those. Saturday morning, I went and got 4, 5, and 6 after we got coffee, and then read through those. And then today, before I came here, I picked up 7, 8, 9,
Someone's
10.
phone's going off.
That's fine.
But yeah, it basically the premise. It's basically just story driven, and it's kind of like a book. There's no like core thing that's happening right now, other than the fact that he's like trying to get to. He's on the East Coast and he's trying to get to the West Coast and whatever, and it's apocalyptic. Like right after every creature in the world that has a Y chromosome dies, except him and his pet monkey. And so you're basically like following this duo around as they like try and survive, and it's kind of like a commentary on like what a utopia would look like with women only and no men. And it's kind of like people keep like asking him like, well, if you're the only man in the world, why aren't you like trying to like just, you know, like have sex with all these women? And they keep asking him if he's like gay or something. Or,
why aren't you trying to, you know?
but he's, and then there's a side story where like right before it happened, he had just proposed to his girlfriend who's in Australia over the phone.
That's
and
interesting.
the phones went out as it happened somehow. I think just all the men dying cut off a lot of industries for a moment.
All men dying just meant all phones also died in the process.
I mean, kind of like electricity kind of just died and the power plants like
mail.
shut down. There was nuclear meltdowns and stuff. But his girlfriend is in Australia, so like he just wants to go to Australia.
Right.
He's like, screw this. I'm not meant to save the world. Like I just want to go see my girlfriend. But people keep having to like tell him and say like, dude, you're the last man on earth. Like without you, we will all die. But then there's like these people called the Amazons who are like hardcore like leftist type like feminists who like want all men. Like they think the apocalypse was an act of God, like reestablishing them. So they're like trying to kill any women who are still trying to perpetuate like male things, like the government and different things. So like anybody who's trying to like uphold masculine structures, they're like going after them and stuff.
The patriarchy. Gotta let
it's
that
pretty intense. So
die.
it's an interesting commentary on a lot of different things. And so
wasn't there another? I feel like there was another famous book that had kind of like that similar. There's like only women, and then it was like from the 19th century or 20th century. I'm not thinking of Futurama.
I was just about to say, I'm not thinking of the Futurama.
No.
There is a book called The Last Man by Mary Shelley.
I think it is The
where
Last
a guy
Man.
named Lionel is the last man to survive. I think this comic is heavily influenced by that.
Yeah, because I knew that there was another historical
that book in the comic itself.
Yeah, because I knew that there was another historical thing that they like referenced or that did something like that.
Mhm.
But interesting.
Yeah, in the comic, one of the characters like calls him Lionel, or he refers to himself as Lionel, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, there was this book from whatever."
Where this kind of happened. It was
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's like referential, and there's a lot of different like. It was 2002 that I think it came out, so
Sure.
it was interesting.
Nice.
It's interesting so far. I just finished the 6th one, so I've got 4 more volumes to go. There's 60.
Cool.
There's 60 issues total in 10 books. So
Gotcha.
Cool.
it's been pretty good. And I
Yeah.
just also got a book called AD After Death. It's also a comic by Scott Snyder, who is currently doing Batman, actually. But I think the premise is that they found a cure for death. And so, like, the main character is trying, like, it's basically just a commentary on, like, what does it mean to die, and, like, are human beings supposed to be immortal?
What does it mean to live?
Yeah, I think it's basically that. Like,
Yeah.
if you were immortal, then what does it mean to be alive if you never have to die? So,
Interesting question.
Immortality.
but I don't know
is,
much more about it. It just looked dope, so I grabbed it.
Yeah.
And it was a
Interesting.
library, so I could just like
Interesting
grab whatever I
concept.
want.
Segueing off that premise, I also picked up it's an it was I completely was not expecting it to be about what it was about, but it's called I Kill Giants. It's like it's a graphic novel, but it's about this girl who's just kind of like giants being like metaphorical. But it's written and it's stylized artistically in a very interesting way, so you don't really know if it's
It's real or
actually
not.
Yeah, but it's heavy. Like I was at the end of it, I was like, dang, that was good. It was sad.
It was good.
It was really good. Yeah, definitely worth.
And it's
a
only
read,
one
and you
book
can
too.
borrow-
It's-
yeah, and it's like a one
I'll have
shot.
to borrow that from you sometime.
So it's a pretty quick read. I finished it in one
Nice.
sitting. I'm gonna go back and like study the art a little more and kind of like enjoy. It's weird. Like graphic novels are weird that way because it's like, oh, it's short and there's not a lot of text, but
There's
at the
a
same
lot
time,
packed in.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I want to go back. To me, it's almost like they're designed to go back multiple times to just kind of catch
Yep.
little things
Yeah, little
visually.
And appreciating the art too is a big thing that I've
Yep.
started to like. I've realized that I'm starting to get into like a specific style of drawing, and then that's what gets me into
Like
series.
certain
Yeah.
ones, yeah.
Like I still say Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is like my favorite comic series outside of like superhero comics and stuff, because it. Oof, it's a monster.
I hear that.
That monster dude is getting me.
The monster.
That's a comic. That's like a series I recommend to anyone, even if you're not into comics. Like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is very, very good. Very like universally, you can get into it even if you're not really a comic book person, just because the story is so not relatable. I want to say, but it's just like it is a love story at its core. But at the same time, there's just so
it's
much.
like goofy. It's
a goof-
lighthearted.
yeah.
But there's
There's some pretty serious moments,
Yeah.
but nothing like too detrimental. I think it's just more doses of reality than it is like, oh, this is a serious moment. It's
Yeah.
like it's the characters legitimately realizing like I always love when Scott just admits to people he's like, I am a terrible person. like, and yeah, there's just great humor in there too. Especially if you're a nerd, there's so many references to stuff like that.
also watch the movie with
Yes.
what's his face,
Michael Cera.
Michael
Michael
Cera.
Cera? Yeah.
Yep, yeah.
Still
Great
is one of
movie.
my favorite.
I didn't know that was a comic back.
Chris
when I saw
Evans,
that
dude.
movie.
Chris Evans is like the first boyfriend in that movie.
Yeah, he was the second.
which is like
Who,
Captain
blank-
America.
Okay,
Captain America.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
blanking on who Chris
It's really
Evans is.
funny. I remember watching it with Glow because she'd never seen it, and so I was like, "Oh, I think you really like this movie." And it gets to that first boyfriend, and I was like, "Holy frick!"
Well,
like
it's
he
funny.
was in this.
He does a really good job.
Yeah,
too.
he's really good.
He's like plays this because the first boyfriend's like this emo dude. The second boyfriend. Oh, so the whole premise of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, if you haven't seen it, is Scott is just this kind of going with the flow, living life dude who's just like in an apartment with his gay friend Wallace, who
Dude, Wallace is the
they don't
best.
interact at all. It's just he just happens to live with a gay dude. That's just the joke of it. But yeah, Wallace is one of my favorite characters too. Jeez, excuse me. I think I'm still like trying to come off that laughter high that we went on. Okay,
It was
so
anyway.
the whole premise of it is Scott basically dreams about this one girl, just like random dream of her skating in the desert, and then he's like, who the frick is this mystery woman? And he sees her at this party, and her name's Ramona Flowers, and he wants to date her and stuff, but she's like, okay, you could date me, but you have to fight like my seven evil ex-boyfriends. And he's like, okay, I guess I can do that. And it just ensues all this craziness because like the boyfriends are just, but it's interesting too because like the first two are just kind of like, but then the more and more he interacts with these people, the more they're like, some of them are like, well, Ramona's not all she seems, or it's like, you know, she like the second, actually the dude who plays Chris Evans is basically the dude that's like don't trust everything she says at face value and stuff. And adds all this kind of different, interesting perspectives from other people and stuff that have been a part of her life. And it's these two, people trying to interact with each other. And I love Chris Evans' part because he plays this like kind of B-rated movie star, and he's like kind of a jock dude. And so he's just like, I'm going to punch you. He's like, I'm just going to tear you down, put you in the ground. And then Scott Pilgrim's character's like, okay, I'd like to see you try. He's like kind of a wimpy dude. He's like, I'll see you try. And he literally just like tosses him into a building. And like very comical stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good stuff. So
Check
Scott Pilgrim
it
versus the
out.
World
Nice.
movie. I'd say check out the comic first, because the comic goes a little more in depth into like the characters and the story and stuff. Obviously,
Maybe depending on what your preference is.
Yeah,
Like if you
what
like
you're
reading stuff, definitely check out the graphic novel.
Yes.
But if you're a movie buff,
it is a very good
it's
movie.
it's a very funny movie. It's
Yes.
very, very funny.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So check that out. All right. What else? So all three of us kind of had specific stuff that we went into. I was gonna just mention the two shows I watched on Netflix that
Yeah.
I highly recommend. So obviously I gotta
I like your little
recommend.
comment on here.
Yeah. Wait, you wrote a comment?
No, I like your little comment.
Oh yeah, I'll say yeah. So I recommended one show. It's an anime show, obviously, called Violet Evergarden, and I said because I'm a girly man and I like. Well, because I will be honest, this show gets me emotional, and I feel
There's nothing wrong with emotion.
No, there's nothing wrong, but
No, there's nothing wrong.
I just don't like crying and being a whip. I admit to people, like the first episode I was like, I'm feeling something, and then second episode I was like, oh boy, and then the third episode there's this whole sequence of events and I was like, that was really good. Just like sitting, like have my blanket wrapped around me. I was just like, yes.
In your dorm room?
In my dorm room. eating ice cream and stuff like that. No, it's a really, really good show. So my whole thing with Violet Evergarden is the premise itself, and I think this is what I love about certain mediums like anime and stuff. The premise itself seems really corny. So the whole thing is that she is this girl who was kind of basically used as like human weapon during a war that happened, and she like lost both of her arms. She has like mechanical arms, and she's her major, who's passed away, hires kind of puts her in the care of one of her lieutenants, and this guy is like, oh, I'm starting this like mail writing service, just because like during this time period people still don't know, like the general populace doesn't know how to write eloquently, so like people go to the service, and I think that's an actual thing. Like the service in the show is called auto memory dolls, and I think that's an actual thing in history of like people writing letters for people. And so she joins the service, and she's like obviously not fitting in because she shows little to no emotion, just because like she was in this war, and like you're kind of finding out more and more about her past. But the thing that happens is one of her customers comes in and like writes a love letter to someone, and he says the words like, oh, I want to just tell this person I love you. And she's like, how did you know about that? And he's like, what are you talking about? She's like, those words, like that's what the major said to me before he, when I last saw the major, he had said I love you to me, and so I want to know what that means. So it's like you're like, oh, like when I first watched that I was kind of like, that's kind of okay, it's a little corny. Like, I want to find out what I love you means, but there's a couple things going for it. So the animation of the show is probably one of the best animations I've seen.
What would you compare it to if you had to?
I have no idea. It's very
Just like nothing.
Just nothing really. Like everything on screen is just like just pleasing the eye, the shadow, the lighting, the emotions, the characters, like the movement and stuff. Everything's just so good, like animated so well that it's just like you're just entranced into what it is. And I think that's what it has going for it. So the show itself, I was kind of like trying to pick apart my brain, being like, okay, what do I like about this? The reason why I recommend the show is because emotions themselves, trying to make a show where the theme is defining emotion and like teaching someone what emotions are, is a very lame premise from the surface level. But what the show does really well is two things. One, it does it through the medium of writing. It doesn't just do, which I know I kind of was like, oh, maybe Josh would. I'm gonna have to check this out. Maybe Josh would like. Well, and Phil too, if you like writing.
He doesn't like emotion though.
I don't like emotion though.
Yeah.
I'm a man.
Yeah,
Bear Grylls.
not a girly man.
Ain't no girly man
like me.
Ford
No, I
truck.
like emotion. That's why I write songs.
Yeah. It's interesting seeing that it's through the medium of writing. Like she's trying to figure out how, it's not that she's trying to just figure out emotion. She's trying to figure out for these different people that come in trying to express their emotions in writing. She's like, how do I emote that, because like at the very beginning she's like super fast typer, super efficient and stuff, but like her problem is that she doesn't know how to communicate emotion through writing. So little by little she's experiencing these she's with other people while they're experiencing these emotional and realistic problems and issues, and she starts seeing like, okay, well, this person is feeling this way, and then she writes out this letter, but then people are like, that's not what I was trying to say, that's not what I was feeling. Like the best example that was actually really interesting was this. Sorry, am I going over time?
No, you're good.
Okay. This one lady comes into the office and she's like, I want to write this letter to this boy. Like, I don't want to seem easy, so like just say that like I'm sort of interested, you know, like being that kind of lady. And then she overhears it and she's like, all right, I'll write the letter. But then she comes back and the lady's like in tears and stuff, and she was like, he rejected me, he said no to me. And because basically the letter was like, I don't have much interest in you.
That's funny.
So it is
interesting.
It starts out funny at first because it's like, I have no interest in you, and the lady's like, oh, why would you do this? But then the lady like breaks down and is like, I've never met anyone like him. I just didn't want him to accept, you know, I didn't want to just like come off as this whimsical woman and stuff. And she starts crying, and the lady's like, but you'd said that. The main girl, Violet, who's like the army, you know, emotionless one, is like, but you had said that you didn't have interest in him, or you said that. And so, but then like this lady's expressing it.
Interesting.
It's this very,
I like it.
It's this intricacy of like people expressing what they feel, but at the same time, she herself is learning that emotions aren't just this face value thing of what people say. And that's why like the writing medium that they use is so good, is because she has to code it. She has to interpret what people are saying into writing, or she has to interpret the emotions that people are giving through their speech into writing. And she experiences all these different things.
I dig it. I might have to check that out. What's intriguing to me is the idea that it's the whole synopsis is basically on the premise that there is a character who doesn't understand emotion, which, like you said, is kind of like, nah, whatever. That's But then her learning about what emotion is, basically having to rationalize into traceable language what someone is thinking or feeling. And then like when you have this woman, it's like, well, I felt this. It's like, yeah, but you didn't actually care. Like you literally were like, well, I'm not really that interested. And then it's like, so like almost like you're not being honest. And then the idea of, so that's fascinating.
Yeah. And then when you're watching that too, and I remember that part being really cool, because I was like, but see, the thing is that even through her emotionlessness as this character, she still was able to, she almost picked apart the flaw that this lady was like kind of lying to herself. And then when that lady broke down and was like, no, I actually loved him, like, even though she was kind of like, shoot, I wrote the letter wrong, you as the viewer are like, yeah, but she got to the heart of the problem itself, was that this lady wasn't being honest about. So it's all this interesting things that the way emotions are depicted and stuff. And like one episode I watched recently was kind of like a little corny, but there's always something. I think what I love is the learning experience she has, because it's like, even though it is like corny premise of she's learning emotions,
right,
it's through these settings and through these mediums and scenarios that like make it authentic and make you feel like you feel the progression of her learning more. And that I think is very valuable in and of itself, of like, it's not just this thing of people are like, well, love is this, well, happiness is this, like joy is this, you know. It's very much that she has to watch people experience it themselves, and then she has to interpret it that way through her writing. So
I dig it.
Yeah,
I'll have to check
very
that
good.
out.
Violet Evergarden, check it out. And then the second thing, I'll make this one a little quicker. One of my friends recommended this documentary series called Wild Wild Country. Best documentary I have ever seen. It is so good. So I highly recommend that to like anyone. Violet Evergarden is one where like specifically for anime fans, or even just like drama fans, I guess I would say, watch that. But these are both on Netflix too. Wild Wild Country is about this group called the Rajneesh Param, I think is what they're called. They're this cult that started in India, and basically they moved to this like small town in Oregon and started like, you know, making a city in this town. But then like the townspeople, it's like a town of 40 people, were kind of like, what the frick is going on with this cult? And then this cult starts like expanding into that town and is like taking over little by little this part of Oregon.
Is, I think Far Cry 5 actually was
slightly
based off of this cult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not surprised but it is super interesting the way it's done. I think what this documentary has above other ones I've seen is that, one, they actually interview, I don't think they really interviewed any experts on the topic. I think everyone they interviewed was directly involved with this whole scenario, this whole thing. Like one of the main people they interviewed was actually like one of the biggest figures in the cult, basically, who caused all this crazy stuff that happens that I won't spoil because it's a super interesting story. But I think what I loved about it is it doesn't present one side as good or bad. Because, like, I definitely found myself being like, this cult is insane. But then at the same time, they were showing the people trying to defend their town. And you're like, they're being a little, like, obviously this cult's doing bad stuff. But at the same time, these people are kind of have the wrong mindset of going about this. And then, you know, the cult does something that you're like, geez, that's unacceptable. But then the other people are like, this mindset is like, geez, what do they think? It's just this perfect balance of back and forth. And they film it super well. The cinematography is amazing. The interviews are really good. They use like footage from like the 80s and 90s, like newscasts and interviews and stuff that.
Because when did this all take place?
It was during the 80s.
Okay.
I think like, I want to say like the early 1980s around that time.
Because it's interesting. I feel like the 80s and 90s were like cult city. Those were like the decades. Like
70s.
Jonestown was like at the middle to the end of the 70s.
Yeah,
I want to say.
And they referenced Jonestown in that thing.
Interesting.
And that was one of I think the most interesting parts for people that like know about Jonestown and are interested. One of the ladies from that cult says the problem that we were having was that people saw us as another Jonestown, and we weren't Jonestown, but that was all they had to compare us to. So I was like, that is interesting, you know, because that is an issue of like, that was a serious, like nothing had ever happened like that in America before. But so what else can you compare a massive growing cult to other than Jonestown? So yeah, Wild Wild Country, 6 episodes, each one's an hour long. Check it out.
Nice.
Dang.
Well, you know what? I'm pretty confident that Phil's pretty excited about is a little slip of the tongue. That was it, Kotaku.
I think it was Kotaku.
Let fly.
They were talking
they
were talking with 2K about Mafia 3 and kind of like what went on with
kind of the
whole
production and
process, and because of that, how they're like restructuring their studios and stuff.
Yeah.
And basically, like at the end, they just like casually mentioned that they have a secret studio that's working on a new Bioshock game, and
just
like,
out of nowhere.
Like what? Nobody's ever said anything about that right now, and so it's kind of like. Quote unquote confirmed that there's at least a new Bioshock game in development, so I'm pretty hyped.
Pretty excited.
I
thought you were gonna say like Kotaku slipped the tongue and said like something super racist.
Oh gosh, I mean I wouldn't doubt that. In this day.
Dude, it's fun.
But yeah, they mentioned that there's a new Bioshock game in development, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Nice.
What do you hope is the premise or the like? So they've done. Because I feel like the interesting thing about the first 2 is, and it's probably Bioshock 3, I would think, because it's 1 and 2 were in Rapture.
Yeah, they're calling it Bioshock 4, but I'm guessing that's just the name because it's technically
the fourth game. Yeah, but. So you have like Infinite was in the sky, Rapture underwater, so it's literally the highest you can go, excuse me, and the lowest you can go. What do you think? Like, what do you want? Kind of the premise or the?
To be honest, I would have wanted like a moon colony.
I was just about to say in space.
But I feel like Prey already did that.
Yeah, kind of did it.
And that's one thing people
in space.
That's one thing people were saying is it's unfortunate that they waited so long because Prey kind of already like filled the System Shocky vibe game gap. But I think I would still like some sort of like not a space station, but like an actual futuristic moon colony, like some rich objectivist or whatever philosophy you want to make fun of this time. Moves to the moon because he's sick of society or something and wants to create.
I still think that could be because I don't. And you just finished Prey. I think you mentioned it last episode or two
episodes ago.
So like with Prey, I never really got a vibe about what it's about. Like I know it's in space. I know there's kind of like this technology and there's these aliens on board and stuff like that. But I feel like that's very
game ever.
More or less. But then it seems very different than like something Bioshock would try to do, which is creating a whole society.
And
that
philosophy.
You're experiencing, yeah.
Well, based on something, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to Bioshock mechanically and story-wise in the sense that like the story that's being told isn't necessarily the story that's actually unfolding. Like it's there's an air of mystery about it where you're like, what is happening? Why is it going on? Obviously, with Bioshock 1, 2, and Infinite, there's very much like an actual like separate society that has been constructed, so there's a lot more to play with there. This is like just a space station. So yeah, I think the third one, I would like to see something in space that's more like an actual like society that's been built, like maybe a moon bubble colony or something in the way near future, and something that's less focused on like I feel like a lot of sci-fi is like positive sci-fi, but I want like a Rapture level, like oh, we started a colony on the moon and it epically failed because of this person's ideologies or something.
Interesting.
Basically like Rapture on the moon.
Yeah.
Because Rapture obviously failed because
Right.
of their Ayn Randian objectivist philosophy, or at least that's the theory in the game.
The only thing though is it'll lose the steampunk feel, and that's my favorite thing for Bioshock.
I know. Like part of me wants them just to go back to Rapture again because I want more of an open world. Like I want to be able to go throughout Rapture, or even like a pre-downfall Rapture where like
Dude, I was just thinking that
like,
that
yeah.
would be sick.
Didn't they do that already?
because
No.
Bioshock Infinite has Burial at Sea 1 and 2 where you get to be in pre-downfall Rapture.
Right.
Oh,
But
interesting.
it's also plays off of the Infinite theme of like different universes, so it's not
okay.
it's not like the same thing, so it looks a little bit different and stuff.
Part of me thinks it could be cool if they did kind of like how you have Comstock in Infinite, who's the main guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then the guy, what's the name? I can't remember his name. Andrew Ryan from the first two. Is he
First
the villain?
one.
Just the first
The second one, the villain is Sophia Lamb,
Okay.
who's more like a socialist type
Sure.
social psychologist.
Because I feel like what could be really cool, I'm really interested to see what they do, and I really want to go back and play the first and Infinite. I never played 2, but
I would highly recommend playing 2. Like everybody online trashes it, but like I think they were just bitter because like Irrational Games didn't do the second one, so it was different. Like I think 2K
there's like a
Boston
little
did it,
Sure.
but like mechanically they improved so much on 1,
Sure.
and the story's still good. Like I think
Interesting.
it's not like basically the first one was critiquing objectivist philosophy.
Yeah.
The second one is critiquing like social psychology and social philosophy of like, oh, everybody just needs to be socially cohesive and everything will work if everybody does things for the common good.
Communism.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like an inverse commentary on that
Yeah.
sort of ideology, but mechanically it's just so like it just improves so much on the
Definitely.
first one.
Nice.
And you get to play as a Big Daddy, so
Which
you're
is
just
pretty
like
cool.
a beast. You can like just drill people right through their like chest. It's brutal.
Metal.
Get really
So-
violent.
Keep it posi in the
And
pit.
you can use the because in the first one you can only use weapon or splicer, but in the second one because you're a Big Daddy you can use your weapon and your like plasmids
Psychic
at the same
powers.
time, so you can like be hitting somebody with your ratchet gun and then like just blasting them with electricity. So
Nice.
it's really fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. It could be cool. I feel like it could be a really cool premise if you played as the guy who is like causing the downfall, or who is like inciting the thing to maybe
Like Frank
like-
Fontaine or Andrew Ryan.
like if you were Andrew Ryan. But even pre-Rapture, like experiencing society. So if they didn't do like a moon thing or like an underground versus underwater or whatever, if you got to play as like Andrew Ryan, not specifically him, but the kind of character who
You play as a
would
dude
be
who
in
starts
society,
the
who's
society.
like stuff is screwed up, we need to do something different, and then incites like the extreme thing. So, but I feel like they could go in so many directions, and they've been
Yeah,
man,
I'm hopeful, but
Infinite
I hope they
was
don't
like-
like try and cash in and just make
Yeah,
a dumb,
I don't-
It's
I don't
2K,
think
so
they're-
I'm like a little bit skeptical, but I'm more
They're-
excited than I am skeptical.
2K has a good track record
Yeah.
between like Borderlands and this. I mean, Bioshock is like one of their babies, so
Yeah.
I don't think that they're gonna do anything catastrophic to
Don't
it.
drop the baby.
Don't drop.
I think the nice thing with Infinite 2 is they opened up a lot of opportunities with like the
That's
idea
true.
of.
Yeah.
I mean, people are kind of saying like, I hope they don't just keep playing on this Infinite Universes thing and just keep doing like whatever. But I think that also opens up opportunities for cool like premises. Like there's always a lighthouse, there's always a man, there's always a girl or something like that. And it could even be like just different types of societies that other people have tried to create in
Mhm.
whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm
dig
I'm
it.
stoked.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be good.
Sweet. I'm excited.
So-
I'll have to pick up the Infinite Collection because that's like
It's
it's.
I think it's on
stupid
sale
cheap
right now for like 15 at Best Buy, so you can
What?
get it for like
Ooh.
12 or something.
Oh gosh, I'm going.
I think.
Just grab me a copy.
We going? We'll
Don't
see.
quote me on
We'll
that.
see.
You should check before you
I'll-
go.
I'll check.
Yeah.
But it has been on sale like a lot.
Nice.
Because I think I got my copy for like $10 or something.
Yeah,
Isn't it
was-
really glitchy though? I thought I'd heard that.
I
heard
kind of
it was, but I played through all 3 of them last year and it's fine.
Okay.
The only thing I would say is the first 2 games share save slots for some reason. So before you start the second game, delete your save files for the first game. Otherwise, I got through like 2 hours into the second game and then I tried to manually save and I couldn't because I didn't delete the save files. So I had to like
that
quit,
sucks.
go back, delete them, and then restart the whole game. I was like,
sucks.
I
but-
probably would have just been like, "We're gonna give this one a break.
Forget
Yeah.
We're gonna wait a little bit."
but yeah, I don't think they're glitchy.
Okay.
Yeah, in my experience, it was smooth sailing.
Well, I'm
so.
sure. It came out like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah,
probably at this
we were
point.
still
So
looking at
it's
the
probably
print,
gotten
so.
patched to high heaven by now.
Yeah,
Even if there was anything major.
I'd highly recommend them. Even if you just play an
Definitely.
easy and blow through it, I think the story and the atmosphere are the strongest
Yeah,
aspects.
definitely.
I was looking. I haven't asked you about this yet. What's the communist
Oh.
invasion? What the heck is
Yeah,
this?
what was?
I was like, what?
So, okay, so
I don't know.
Please
To just
explain.
have communist invasion from.
So Evan and I were at Olive Garden on Thursday because she turned in her ITPA, and
Nice.
so we were out at Olive
Big
Garden
celebration.
celebrating.
Congrats.
Yeah,
to Evan.
she's pretty excited. But we were like just talking randomly, and we were talking about Mosinee and like what we're known for, and she's like, "Oh, we're known for like a fake communist invasion." I'm like, "What?" So we like look it up. Here, let me look it up.
A fake
Um,
communist invasion. I can actually. I
The
can see
Red
that.
Scare.
Red Scare stuff. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
interesting.
it was during like the 50s, I think.
They're still hiding out in Hollywood,
Yeah. They're
preaching from on high.
perhaps even in our movie theaters.
Okay, so
God help
I
us.
have to use Wikipedia so I don't tell it wrong.
All right.
But all right, let me find the actual part.
Most
History.
reliable resource.
Okay, mock communist invasion.
Interesting.
I'm just gonna read through it because it's short and it's
That's funny.
hilarious.
Do it.
Go for it.
On May 1st, 1950, local residents, acting as communist invaders, seized control of Mosinee. The action was part of an elaborate pageant organized by the Wisconsin Department of the American Legion. The quote-unquote communists dragged Mayor Ralph E. Cronenwetter and Police Chief Gewis out of their beds. Mayor Cronenwetter surrendered at 10:15 a.m. in the town's new Red Square, in quotes, with a pistol to his back. The police chief was reported to have resisted and was quote-unquote liquidated.
What?
This is fake though.
It's a mock, yeah.
Oh my god.
Roadblocks were set up around Mosinee. The library was quote-unquote purged. Prices of goods were inflated for the duration of the coup, and local restaurants served Russian black bread and potato soup for lunch. As he arrived at a rally to restore democracy to the community, the night of May 1st, Mayor Cronenwetter suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and never regained consciousness. He died 5 days later on May 6, 1950, at age 49. The mayor's doctor said the excitement and exertion probably contributed to his collapse. Franklin Baker, commander of the local American Legion post, said, quote unquote, "It was a terrible coincidence."
Oh gosh.
What the
So
heck?
wait, so a real guy died from a
The mayor died 5
The mayor
days later.
died
He
from a
died
fake-
thinking that his town was invaded by communists.
I don't know if he was in on it or not. It doesn't say that, but
It doesn't
the
sound like
the
it.
American
doesn't- it
Legion
does
guy
not sound
says
like
it
it.
was a terrible coincidence.
Oh my gosh.
And then local minister Will LaBrue Bennett, 72, who during the communist invasion demonstrated to the media how he would hide his Bible in the church organ if the communists really invaded, and was herded with other residents into a barbed wire ringed quote-unquote concentration camp near Red Square, was found dead in his bed hours after the mayor's death on May 7th, 1950.
what
What the heck?
This happened in Mosinee, Wisconsin, a town
That's
of 4,000
insane.
people.
That is known for making paper too.
Yeah.
Like what?
When Evan read me that,
Dude,
it's
that's-
sad because
oh my
people died,
gosh.
but I was laughing so hard. I'm like, what? the
Like,
heck?
who in the right?
Why are
well,
we known for this?
Dude, that's like
yeah.
such a Midwest. Like that would totally happen in the Midwest. Like a bunch of fake like quote unquote fake communists coming in and doing communist things.
Fake overthrowing.
And then like
Mosinee
two
for-
people die as a result of it. Good
Crazy.
lord.
And literally under our history section on Wikipedia, that's the only thing. We're known for that and giant jellyfish fossils. So,
That's stupid.
and we make
Those
paper, which
tentacles.
makes our town smell like crap.
Yeah, dude. I
You have a
I remember
you
being
have a
there for your
smelly-
wedding. Oh my gosh, I couldn't.
Wait,
I don't know how
why do you have a
did it.
smelly town?
Because we have a giant paper mill,
Oh, okay.
like
It,
right in the
it
middle.
smells horrid.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
I literally
Like-
grew up like right across the street too from the paper mill. So
So it's
So
like
you-
you have all these sinus infections, dude.
yeah,
like,
really, I'm like inhaling paper crap all the time.
paper.
Dunder
I'm
Mifflin.
inhaling paper.
So yeah, that's our little history lesson today. A
Wow.
couple people died as a result of a fake
A
communist
fake
invasion.
communist invasion.
Oh, good
Oh,
old
God.
Mosinee.
Moral of the story: don't pretend to be a communist.
Yeah. Don't be a real communist. Don't pretend to be a communist.
Or maybe that's the cover up that they're saying it was fake. And they're
Uh-oh.
actually
What
still
is
out
What if
there.
it was real?
What if
It's
that was
real.
like the actual communist invasion that never, like, people think?
What if
never
Mosinee
happened?
still communist and I just never knew?
You
Meta.
come home
Dun,
and
dun,
your
dun.
parents.
What's the
your parents hang a picture of Stalin in their living room.
Got Stalin and Che Guevara hanging.
Oh jeez. What's she doing over there?
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I got the bum stand, I think.
No, you don't have the bum stand. I specifically left the bum stand over there.
I think I got a second bum stand. Then.
No. You
I
just
think
don't
your
know what
communist
you're doing.
story made it.
I think you're a communist.
You're a communist. To
You
each
gave me the
according to
bum-
his needs.
Yeah. I think you've given me the bum stand.
I think you're a communist.
You communist.
You communist.
You commie.
Jeez.
So yeah, that's our story.
Is that still an
Wow.
insult? Calling
What?
someone a commie?
More jokingly than anything.
Yeah, I think it's
people are more
facetious.
accepting of communists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just-
college students especially just walk around wearing Soviet flag shirts. So.
Right, because they totally understand what that means.
Because Soviets totally weren't just like the Nazis.
basically.
They want
Gulag
equality. I want equality.
Archipelago. It's a big deal.
Gulag.
The Gulag
Talk to
Archipelago.
JP about that.
JP.
JBP.
Jordan
Not Jake
Peterson.
Pancras.
What was
Jordan Peterson.
what was his reaction to hearing about our fun stories about him?
He said it was the best episode ever.
Because it was all about
Because
him.
you saw him the other day, didn't you?
I saw him yesterday.
And
Yeah,
he was like,
he said it was his favorite episode.
wow.
Oh,
I was like, wow, we need to rip on you more.
Yeah, it's like
thanks,
scapegoat.
I told him he needs to come on. He said he has nothing to say, but I told him he has everything to say.
yes, he does. He has
Sorry,
everything
I'm,
to say.
I'm fidgety today.
You are. I'm like, what's going on with you?
You're just moving.
I'm literally moving it up,
Just
down, up, down.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, Mosany was once communist for a day, and 2 people died because of it.
That sucks.
But it's also hilarious.
But it's also
It's a
kind of
dang shame.
It just makes
Dang
me think of
shame.
one of the best Family Guy episodes ever, in my opinion, is Peter starts his own country because he finds out that he can't build a pool because his house isn't on the Quahog map. And so he's like, or Mayor West is like, wait a minute, you're not a part of this map, which means you're not a part of this United States, which makes you a communist. He's like, nah. And he like tries to kick him through this hole in the ground.
My malcontents are usually much thinner.
Can you come back when I get my bigger malcontent drawer? Fine. Then I'll kick you through. And I'm a man who loves his taffy.
I love this job more than
More than
I
I
love
love
taffy. I love Adam West. He is
Mayor West is
Unfortunately, he's dead.
rest in peace.
rip Mayor West,
The OG Batman.
the OG
Before
Batman.
Batman got dark.
Yeah,
Wait a second,
the
Robin.
coolest Batman.
This mummy wasn't a mummy at all.
Yeah. Wait a second, Robin. Apparently, I'm not fit.
Oh gosh.
He did have a little chub to him. I think they made that joke in The Simpsons when he's talking about. He was like, "Sure, I didn't have the rippling muscles of the real Batman, but I fought crime like a real, true citizen." With
Sounds
my
about right.
flabby body. I don't know if he said flabby body, but
That's
it'd be
right.
funny
She was a
to-
good body. Flabby and riddled with rheumitis. A good Republican body.
Mayor Nixon. Well, President.
President Nixon.
Peak male physique.
Listen to what the Dormouse said. Feed your head. I mean, you halfway, you stupid hippies. Shut up, damn it!
You got to give context that you can't just say.
I never give away as fast as my little dog Checkers. Shut up, damn it.
Oh gosh.
I
I love Mayor Nixon or President Nixon is in
Futurama.
In
one of the best
Futurama was
characters.
fantastic.
Big old Prezi Nix.
Prezi Nix.
Oh my goodness.
The
Nixon's the
Watergate.
president in Watchmen.
I'll go in their houses
In
and wreck
Watchmen?
up the place.
He's just like still alive. Or-
Yeah,
It's still
he
in that
never
decade,
got caught
right?
in the Watergate, and then he like basically pulled an FDR and like kept
Interesting.
being president.
Mm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I want Watchmen right now.
Right now. Arrgh.
I'm getting a vibe from.
True story.
the Nixon in the movie is like not Nixon at all. So they didn't get a very good actor for it.
Well, I feel like you
I
Just
am
put, like,
President
a big old
Nixon.
schnoz on him and like gave him a receding gray hairline, and that's about it.
see like that.
I
I
am
feel like
President Nixon.
Nixon's been so caricatured by major things to the extreme of making fun of him. I mean, Futurama literally has him built into the storyline for like
Mhm.
the whole show after he gets elected
he's like
president.
the president for most
Yeah.
of the.
It's pretty great. But
pretty
we're
great.
at an hour and we didn't even touch our planned
We're at
topic.
an hour.
Yeah. So I don't know if we just want to goof off for another like 10 minutes and then,
Yeah, we can do
just,
that. Sorry,
Oh,
Phil.
speaking of which,
Yeah.
the new God of War game looks amazing.
oh my gosh, dude. It's gotten like 10s across the board.
9s and 10s. Yeah.
Yeah.
People are literally saying like it's the best looking game right now on
which is
best
hard.
looking game, but is it the best playing?
Yes.
That too, yeah.
Like,
People
they're
are saying like
it's-
Horizon Zero Dawn. It's all, like people are saying it's better than that, even.
which
like,
is
graphically.
crazy.
Like
Yeah.
I've seen images where they like zoom in on Kratos' face and you can just like see all of like the little intricacies in his like. I'm just like, what the heck have video games become? It's
Dude,
insane.
I'm stoked. I've
just never
I'm
been
not
a God
gonna
of
pay
War
$60
fan.
for it, but I'm picking it up when it's like. If they also revitalize the mechanics, it's not like
the
because it
old
used to
hack
be
and
more hack and
slash.
slash. Now it's like it's got like the third person view instead of like the rotating isometric camera. It's got like third person and like it gets like super cinematic when you just like bury your hatchet in their face and kick them, and then you can like drop them to the ground, just like stomp their face
Curb
in.
stomp. Yeah.
It looks so freaking brutal.
I'm not gonna lie. Before I picked Zach up to bring him over here, I was watching a video on GameSpot, and they were going through a history of the original games.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to go back and play them. There's.
I think like story wise, they're actually really fun if you like Greek mythology and stuff.
Yeah.
And you just want to see Zeus get like his face smashed in,
Right.
like Kratos.
I was watching him like
Zeus
fight
Basically,
the
if you want to
Hydra.
kill the Greek gods, like
Right, it's a bloodfest, but
Mhm.
there was part of it where the initial, I mean, we've talked about this before, but the initial, I think, lack of a draw for me was I've always been a big Devil May Cry fan. Like I really liked 4. I played, excuse me, all gassy. Oh my gosh, I need to take a.
Bless you.
we have a gaseous giant in our midst.
Gassy giant.
Gassy giant baby, yeah. So I've
Someone's giggling.
I've played a couple of the Devil May Cry games, and I really like them just because it's more combo heavy. You actually have to be good at juggling enemies, switching between your guns and your sword, so that makes it fun. But God of War, from what I've understood, is less technical, and it's what people have kind of said it's easier in a way. But I was watching it, and it sounds like it's very combo based still, which I was like, even if it's easy, if it's combo based, I was like.
Yeah, I
I'm
think it's
about that.
combo based. It's not like
How
a
about that? It's not just
Devil May Cry or
straight hack and
Arkham
slash.
City or whatever style
Yeah.
combo based, but it's like, yeah, there's some skill to it.
Yeah, so I was like, I might have to go check it out, especially because I think you can. I know 3 they remastered for the PS4, but I think you can get most of the PS3 ones for stupid cheap.
Yeah,
So-
I think they also have them all on the Vita as well.
Did they put them all on the? Oh, you're right.
You can get the God of War collection with.
Oh,
one.
you're
You can't get
freaking
3,
right.
but that's for PS4. But the rest of them, I think, are on Vita. So
Dude, I might
Oh,
have
if
to
you
pick
want,
that
if you're looking
up.
for something handheld,
I might just, I might have to just straight pick that up.
And
just
I don't think they're like
straight up.
Straight
I
up,
don't know what the
dog.
frame rates are like because some of the PS3
I've
Vita
heard-
transfers.
yeah, I've
I would
heard-
look it
I've
up
heard they're
maybe,
really bad.
but
Right.
I think I have the God of War on Vita, but I got it
I'm just-
when it was on sale for like $3 or something.
I don't know why that never interested me. God of War.
I think it's
I don't know.
It's a different type of game. It's like
Yeah.
hack
Yeah.
and slash.
Like I do like Greek mythology and hack and slash, but I guess I have no idea. I don't know what to like. I'm not saying that it's like inherently bad because I don't like it, but it's more so just I don't see the draw. Like even with the new one, as good as it looks, I'm just like, yeah, it looks like a good game, but I'm just not a God of War fan.
Yeah, I think for me, like a lot of popular open world games right now aren't my flavor. Like Horizon Zero Dawn looks sick, but it's just like it's a weird techno futuristic thing that like I'm more like a cyberpunk-y, or like if you're gonna be dystopian, I want it to be like everything's destroyed, not like Horizon Zero Dawn's almost like tribal, and I'm not interested in that type of atmosphere as much. Whereas God of War is like you're like fighting the Norse gods, and I love like mythology and religious type things. So I think that was always the big draw, is the Greek mythology as a backdrop. People just love being able to rip out Hades' eyes and like smashes whatever.
Jeez.
You get to kill
Smashes
Hercules.
whatever.
Yeah,
You get
well,
to kill
it's
Hercules
I think it is a cool power trip in a sense that the whole narrative is it's not just there's this rogue Titan guy who's going around, and I know he's not a Titan. He's like I think he's a
He's a god.
He's God.
The
He's
God of War. He
No,
kills.
no. Ares is the God of War.
No, he kills Ares.
Right, he
in
kills
the
it.
first one.
So
I
then
think.
does that?
It makes him the God of
So
War.
he inherits it. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did get that far in the video I was watching where they were saying that he was originally a soldier,
Yeah.
and then Ares tricks him into killing his wife and daughter, and then that's what spurs on the
Yeah. I think the
fiery
first thing
man
you
we
do
know
is
as Kratos.
kill Ares,
yeah.
and then you become the God of War, and then basically the
just
whole game is you just tearing
wage
down the
war.
entire pantheon of Greek
Nice.
mythology.
Nice.
So I mean, it in a scale wise, it's just like if you want a brutal game where you can kill Hercules and Zeus and Hera and Hades and the
everyone,
Titans and-
yeah.
Nice.
So it looks cool. I was
Yeah.
watching the fight between him and the Hydra, and I was like, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
I like it. So
So-
I was not interested in the new one at all
Me neither.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I watched some footage of the fighting mechanics, which made me really interested because they changed it up a lot. And then now seeing from a narrative standpoint, it sounds like they took it to new levels that
I know,
are
like,
really interesting.
I was not interested at all in it because I'm like, I've never been a huge God of War fan because I never really had PlayStation.
Yeah.
But I've played it enough to know that it's decent. But then this one, I was kind of just like, it's just another God of War. But like, I've been seeing reviews and videos of it, and I'm like, holy crap, this is like, it looks amazing. The fight mechanics, like every punch you make just looks like so brutal. And like you get a hatchet that's made out of the same material as Thor's hammer, and it functions the same, so he can like chuck it, launch it in someone's face, and then like call it back, and you can just like slice people with this hatchet, and like you have
slice and dice.
yeah, and
Sorry,
he's got his son Atreus or something like that with him, and I think he's no longer a god in this game. Like he's given up his godhood to like be a family basically, and he's got a son, so it's like you and his son are trying to like get to his mom's grave or something is the story. But then you basically have to like the Norse gods are like, well, you have to kill us to get to her or whatever. And so it's like this father-son story of you trying to get to this place. And then like the entire Norwegian pantheon is like standing in your way.
Nice.
So it's like instead of Greek gods, now you get to kill the Norse ones.
Yeah, I watched a really interesting video. I think this was the thing that really kind of intrigued me about it is we joke because we're talking about writing and stories and narratives constantly, but one of the things that they said about this story that they did specifically is they were trying to figure out, like, the main writer for the whole game who had like written all the three, he almost didn't come back for this one, and he was like on hiatus because he didn't know what to do to Kratos to make him more dynamic, because he felt like that was something that
Kratos was just getting too brutal and too
I think he pointed to, there's moments in the original franchise, I won't say anything in case anyone like is going to go back and doesn't want it spoiled, but there were moments that were that you could look at objectively from a distance and say like, yeah, that could be, if executed well, incredibly heart-wrenching. But the issue was that they weren't earned moments, and so he was trying to figure out how to create something in the new game that would allow you to feel that emotion as you go through. He said that's literally why they put his son in it, is because it's now Kratos is more mellow, or he's trying to be more mellow, and he's seeing his son is actually just like him, and he knows from his whole journey, like,
where that leads.
Don't be like this. And so he's trying to exemplify, don't be the burning god of destruction. But then he's also like, but that's also who I am, and I know that's also like a passion and a fire in him. It's like, how do I do that?
I think it'll be interesting seeing how that plays out, because he's going to come up to these Norwegian gods and he's like, frick, I don't want to be this person anymore. But at the same time, they're like,
I'm trying
to
see my wife,
my son, and I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
He's like basically just like a John Wick style thing, like you
vengeance.
Be like vengeance.
Where's my wife?
Where's my wife? Where's my wife? I will kill you. So it looks good.
He's more Batman than John Wick, but
yeah.
Where is my wife? I'm trying to get to her grave. Martha.
Why'd you say that name?
We were just talking about how bad that movie is again.
Let's not go down that road.
Let's not go down.
I watched a video of 15 reasons why it was a good movie.
Interesting.
So I'm flipping
One,
a little bit.
It was a film. 2,
it literally was in theaters.
There were superheroes in it. 3,
So-
Batman did a big jump. 4, Superman did bigger jump.
that would actually be really funny.
That would be funny.
Oh,
yeah.
man. Well, we're at 112. We completely just ditched our topic, so we won't say anything
we
what it
dwell
is.
a little bit too much on our little jokey jokes at the
We
beginning.
went a little too off topic.
Since the dawn of time.
Since the dawn of time, man has gone off topic. Conversation.
Ooh, we should, dang it. I think I have my list of possible catchphrases. This could be kind of fun as a reach out for people. To reach out to us.
Has anyone else emailed us questions?
Not yet, no. Send us emails, get stickers. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Did Jakey Poo get his stickers? All right.
Did the
He
poop
sticker slapped one of the...
Sticker slap.
There's like this banister in Epic in the parking garage that has like tons of stickers all over it. And I was walking out with him, and he's like, "Oh, check it out." He whips the thing, and he just goes, Sticker slaps it.
like
So our sticker is on the wall of stickers.
All right,
Nice.
so this is a legit request. So we have been trying to brainstorm. We've been trying to figure out how to capture what we're trying to do with our podcast in a phrase. So our whole thing of doing this, and this is kind of like a, let's get real first, man. Let's rap. Let's rap for a second.
Let's rap.
Let's sit down and rap. What we're trying to do with the show is create it as a space and something that we talk about. We're gonna shift more into us experiencing things and trying to create a knowledge base of things that like sharing what we've been reading and what we've been watching and playing and listening to and stuff like that. Not necessarily because it's like an elitism thing of like, well, I've read and watched and played more stuff than you, but there's a lot of content out there. And so if we stumble across something that we think is cool, we really want to share it and we want other people to find out if they might enjoy it too.
It's probably our biggest agenda.
Yeah, so that's like our biggest agenda. And the reason we're really passionate about experiencing and sharing what we're experiencing in a positive way is because for the majority of the larger scale pop culture, it's an incredibly heated, divisive medium to talk about. And a lot of people, and I mean, like, we joke constantly, like, where we pick at stuff and make fun of things. But at the end of the day, it's comic books, it's video games, nothing, it doesn't matter. Like, even if it's like, oh, the industry and business and blah, 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 it doesn't matter. Like, stuff goes on, it keeps going. So we want this to be something where, regardless of your knowledge base, we're just like have fun with it. Like, that's the whole point. Like, we want to have fun with it and joke about it and like make stupid references to Morgan Freeman and stuff like that. So with that, we've been trying to come up with a funny phrase or mantra that we could use to exemplify kind of our attitude and our goal trying to change the discussion around pop culture to be more fun and lighthearted and for people to accept poking fun at it and acknowledging where things can get too heated and just like having fun with it instead, not being too defensive. So one of the things we've been joking through is the idea of like, the show obviously is called The Pop Culture Punks, plays off of the idea of like changing the culture and being like a subculture, overthrowing the pop culture bourgeois with large scale pop culture media.
Is that what we're doing?
Like, basically.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh man.
Gee, Rick.
That sounds violent. So here are some phrases that we're interested in what people think. Phil and I, and you don't necessarily agree, Z, that's fine. You're gonna be doing your own thing.
I'll be the divisive one this time.
Alrighty. So our phrases that we've come up with for like closing out and kind of being like our motto for the time being. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
To be honest, I have no idea. I just got the urge to do that.
Oh my gosh.
Move your mic stand.
Anyway, I wish you could hear what I could hear because I'm like, what?
Could I hear
A star, dancing in the night.
He's good.
Oh gosh. But oh my lord. All right, here are the phrases. So if any of these resonate with you more and you think they're hilarious and we should use that one,
Pop Culture Punks, diabetes
in.
friendly.
Ooh.
I like it. Ooh.
Sugar free, baby.
Sugar free.
Ain't no
now
sugar
with
here.
0 calories.
Pop culture punks now with 0 calories.
Pop culture
I want
with
a
0
shirt. I want a
calories.
shirt that says that.
That's funny.
A little soda bottle.
Oh,
with
like
my
a
face on it.
soda bottle with the face.
Just like
Pop
pop
culture
culture.
punks now
It's
with
like written in
0
One
calories.
Piece style.
Calories.
Now with 0 calories.
I can work on that. All right. Number 1, keep it posi. We've said that numerous times, so we thought it'd be kind of funny if we did that. Number 2, buzzy vibes. Number 3, be posi in the pit, bro. Which is a reference,
keep
obviously.
It posi in the pit,
keep
bro.
it posi in
Yeah.
the pit, bro. Which is a reference to the mosh pit,
Which
and
I have
how-
not experienced.
Which is the whole our metaphor of that was thinking through the hilarity of like in a mosh pit, all are equals, and you're just shoving and you're going nuts and you're enjoying
And
the
you could
music.
possibly die.
And it's not about like winning or not about beating each other. It's more about like having fun and experiencing the music in the way that like basically like dancing,
Exactly.
but like a punk version of it. And so it's
With lots of
about,
shoving
it's about
and swinging.
experiencing.
It's like
your-
dancing, but really, really violent.
It's
Really violent.
it's about experiencing the music together as like a group of people who enjoy this thing.
Yup.
And it's not about the aggression or about winning or about violence inherently. It's more about like the experience.
Yeah.
And so when the dust settles and people are back, everybody's
pick
back
each other
to-
up,
You pick
you
each other
laugh
up.
it off.
You wipe off
And then
the
you
dust.
might be bloody.
Shove them back down on the ground and punch them again.
and And then you
a
get
mosh
to all
pit.
enjoy the music together. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's the idea of keep it posi in the pit, bro. And then our last 3 are punks for posi vibes, and then
Pop culture punks, posi vibes, pop culture punk pit.
bro, keep it posi.
Poppin' Primarino, pop Pringles, pop
Pop
culture,
culture
punks.
punks, posi vibes,
Posse.
Maserati.
Ooh,
posi Maserati.
Pause. Yeah, we were
Posi
Posi,
Maserati
he-
popping.
give me a trap beat.
I don't know what a trap beat sounds like.
No, that's not trap. Trap
don't
is
know
like,
trap. I only
trap
know-
is like like
No, it's not.
out of the yeah.
Keep
it posi in my Maserati. Posi Maserati.
Oh, keep running through your list there,
Yeah.
boyo.
Yeah, keep.
All right, and then these are the ones that we're gonna run with for right now. One of them we're thinking of using as a t-shirt slogan, which
teacher slogan.
t-shirt slogan, t-shirt slogan because we think it's hilarious. But this is our go-to for the time being, unless we hear otherwise. Bring in pop culture to the pit, bro. So, what's wrong with it?
It's all right.
Critique it.
All right.
Keep it posi though.
Yeah, keep it posi.
Keep it posi.
Okay,
Don't
I'll
talk
keep it
about the
posy. It's stupid. I'm kidding. It's fine. It's not that. It's only because I don't associate the edginess. Maybe that's the problem. You guys are much
we just
better.
need to get you a tag.
You guys are
and then
better
you'll
at
be-
punks than I am. That's the problem that we.
Well, it's more about the ideology rather
It's
than
the actual
'cause
physical
I
experience.
obviously don't mosh anymore
I don't.
either.
Yeah.
But I have experienced the mosh pit.
But am I a punk though? Do I go against the norm, or am I just normie? Am I just a complete?
You inherently in your view and discussion of pop culture are a punk. Because the
Yeah,
normal
yeah.
thing, or like, not obviously not for everybody, but in our eyes, the normal thing to do is to gravitate towards your one thing, clutch it tightly, and say everything else that isn't this sucks or isn't good.
Everything else that isn't anime sucks, which is not true.
Even though it kind of is.
Even though.
Oh, don't say it.
No, I definitely.
So
okay,
that's
I
so
can
that's
see that.
so that's the ideology. It's not necessarily that you have to have a experience having been in the mosh pit.
But it's the thing of in the
The
pop
joke.
culture context of critiquing, I don't associate or gravitate towards the thing and put it above all else.
Exactly.
I don't
Yeah.
put it in this high esteem of that this is the greatest art form ever.
Yeah. So we're not
Okay.
being punked by trying to like overthrow anything or like be angsty or be angry
the
about
punk
something.
insinuates difference and insinuates.
Yeah, we're trying to be different. We're trying to have
Yeah.
a different discussion than the normal people, the mainstream, are having about pop culture.
Right. Where it's like we're talking, Zach said this point earlier, we're not talking about the popular thing just because it's popular and we want to get on the discussion of like, well, everyone's talking about God of War, so we need to talk about God of War because otherwise we're never going to... It's just like, dude, God of War looks dope.
Yeah.
Probably going to pick it up.
So
We're
basically-
talking about what we like.
Yeah, we're
we
talking
talk
about,
about
what we like
and what we've
not talking about
experienced
what we
and-
don't like.
Exactly.
Unless it's Tilt Brigade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tilt
That's
Brigade
our,
is the
that's
only
our
thing-
one time to be actually
It's
No,
like-
I think we can bring up stuff that we don't like.
well,
entirely
it's
too,
and
but
that's the
it's
thing
more
is
just-
like we didn't also want to stifle the conversation like, oh, you can't talk about things negatively. But like anytime we do, we always I'm always the guy who always pushes back on any time somebody says
Right.
like, this sucks. I'm like, well, why does it suck? So it's like you can express negative opinions, but that's the point is then we all discuss it and
Yeah.
either we all agree or we disagree or
Just enjoy stuff. Like that's
the point
that's
is
our goal.
we wanna
Just,
enjoy
just
stuff.
enjoy stuff.
dwell on the things you love and forget about the things you hate.
and
Yeah.
learn why you love it too. That's a big
Yeah.
important thing.
Yeah.
And that's why we like talking about things because we
Yeah.
just want to talk about why we like things.
Yep.
I would
That's
say
why we do
yeah.
a podcast.
I'd say that's why I like doing it is because it's like I think the issue we have today is not even that like people critique too much or have negative vibes. I think it's more so people don't know how to articulate what they like and what they love in a not that you don't have to because like in reality it doesn't push you for unless they're like trying to be a journalist or a writer. That's not really going to push you in a like career direction, but it offers so much more fun discussion with people when you're actually able to articulate, I like this thing, here's why. Because we
Yeah.
have a conversation with someone like I was actually just talking with a friend about this. Like we were both talking about the things we like, and I was saying that this is why this is good conversation. Is we're sharing each of the aspects that we like about it. We're not just. I was saying the example would be if something because like I have friends in our group that come to me because they're like, oh, I'm starting to get into anime. What should I watch? And I think it's because I don't say a show and be like, this show's really good. They're like, okay, why is it good? it's just got action, fight a lot.
Or my favorite phrase, especially in lit, I hate this, is when it's like, "What's a classic?" It's like, the frick do I care? Like, is it good or is it? Yeah, it's like, is it good or isn't it? And why is it good or is it not?
Classic doesn't always entail it's good.
Yeah,
right.
Or it doesn't always mean you'll think it's good. Yeah.
So like with that, it's you want to approach these conversations if you want to have a better like. If you come into the conversation and don't really want to talk about that medium, then like obviously you're not going to go that in depth. But the way we like to approach it for us three when we talk about stuff is to present like we did today with the stuff we've been watching recently. Like, okay, this is what I've been watching or playing recently, and then all three of us look at each other and be like, okay, well, why is it good? And then present the facts, present your opinion and perspective on it, and then maybe it'll help you, the listener, check it out and see for yourself, but then also have that knowledge base of like, okay, they were approaching these mediums from this angle. I can look at my favorite thing and pick apart why I like it. So, yeah, keep it posi.
Keep it posi in the pit, bro.
Keep it posi. Just keep it posi in the pit, out the pit.
You can be in the pit or you can be out the pit.
You can be out the pit.
But we're in the pit.
We're in the pit.
Yeah,
that's our goal.
I
fell into
we're bringing
the
it.
pit.
I'm like
in
the pit, but I'm off to the side, being like, knock him dead, boys. Get him. Get him. Get him. Get him.
And if you don't want to be in the pit, I'll find my brother and have him push you in.
Grab you by three guys.
Grab like three dudes and just push them.
Throw them in the pit. Oh, jeez.
You want these guys in the pit, bro? Put them in the pit, bro. Bro.
Just keep it posi, bro. Keep it posi.
As he's like shoving people and kicking, like, keep it posi. Keep it posi.
Keep it posi.
Dude, that would be a hilarious bouncer. It's like a bouncer's like throwing people in. Just says keep it posi, bro.
Into the pit with you.
I like it. So yeah, so that was our deep moment of the episode.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going towards. We're trying to build a like actual community to discuss and be like a place for enjoyment, and we're gonna like be critical. So that doesn't mean we're not gonna pick things, but the end result of us picking at things is to point specifically at a specific thing and say like this thing in this greater thing was like an issue for me. Doesn't mean you can't like it.
Yeah.
So,
because in the end, all of it is inconsequential.
It doesn't.
If you like a dumb movie, then you like a dumb movie.
And
maybe you think it's the most awesome thing in the world. Like,
correct.
Who cares what I think about it?
Yeah. If we don't like what you like, that is not a problem.
Stop listening. We don't want you.
Yeah, we don't want you here.
Take it to the pit.
We don't want you here. Posi vibes. Posi vibes. Posi vibes. You just take your opinion and posi vibes.
Posi vibes.
Posi vibes. Oh, dude. Gosh. I wish everything was settled like that. Just like, we going to the pit, bro.
Take it to the pit, bro.
We taking it to the pit, bro.
That's how they did in ancient times in the Coliseum.
Yep.
That was the pit.
Ooh.
And many people died that
pop culture to the Coliseum.
Well,
with the lions.
No one left out alive.
Lions, tigers, and
someone usually died.
People died. They did that for like
our enemies will die in the pit. Oh, that's not the.
That's
okay. All our enemies will burn at the hands of frick.
Like
wrong
podcast. Keep posi.
Wrong podcast. Posi vibes. Sorry, that was for my Greco-Roman talk. Yeah. Ancient civilizations.
So yeah, that's...
since the dawn of time. Wrong.
No, not again. No. Oh, we need a shirt that says that now.
Since
the dawn of time, there have been posi vibes.
You could add anything to that.
Basically,
since the dawn of time, Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Peter Parker has been destined to be
Parker.
Hey, Peter Parker.
Parker.
Hey, Parker.
Hey, Parker, we're at pictures of Spider-Man.
Hey, Peter.
Can we get Patrick Warburton, but he plays all of the actors in the Avengers?
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine?
It's not funny, Tony.
We're trying
to fight Ultron.
Well, think of oh yeah, if we don't do anything soon, the people are going to die. That's just a fact. You're bringing your justice in here. I don't agree with what you have to do, okay? I do my job.
You're a guy who lived in an ice cube for a couple 100 years.
Yeah.
This is the problem.
You think you stand for America, but you're just an idiot. And then, like, right before they fight Ultron, all right, let's do this!
And then you just got all of them yelling in his voice, like running.
Peter! Hey, Peter! You know, just because you got some friend named Bucky doesn't mean your opinion's better than mine.
Oh, God.
I think you two are just a couple of pansies.
I wish I could do that
We're gonna fight mano a mano?
Mano a mano.
You're not a man without the suit, Tony.
Dude, Spider-Man, like, I'm nothing without that suit. If you aren't anything without that suit, you should be wearing it.
You shouldn't be wearing it. Whoa, Tony. That's pretty deep.
Trying to think, what are some other Spider-Man lines? You're the Spider-Man. Hey, Peter, you're Spider-Man.
Hey, Peter. Whoa, Peter.
Hey, Peter, you didn't tell me you're the Spider-Man. I'm the Spider-Man.
I'm the Spider-Man.
It's like website do that stuff.
Oh my god.
Oh, we're good. Okay, we got to... Nope. No more.
Where can the good people check us out at?
Stitcher. Google Play. Stitcher.
Google Play.
Google Play.
Google
Play.
Play. It sounded like Hank Hill. Hey, Peter. Oh, my Peter. Hey, Peter. Hey, kid. I'm a computer. Stop off the download. I'm a computer.
Help computer. You can check us out on a computer on YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play, or
nice transition, bro.
Or iTunes.
Yeah.
Stop it. Oh gosh.
No.
Shut it. Bet on it. Shut up on it. Check out our Redbubble. Keep it positive.
Get back to the pit.
Keep it positive in the pit, folks.
Job security, but I've been dreaming about packing it all up, cause the war in me just won't relent till there's nothing left but dust. So what do you do when the walls start closing in and everyone you love tells you it's all just in your head?